Most people think silence is just the absence of noise. It's not. It's the presence of something your brain desperately needs and almost never gets anymore. Here's what's actually happening inside your head right now. Your brain has a default mode network, a system that only activates fully when external input stops. Neuroscientists at Harvard discovered this almost by accident. They were studying brain activity during tasks and noticed something strange. When people stopped doing tasks and sat quietly, a completely different and surprisingly active network switched on. This network is responsible for processing emotions you haven't dealt with, consolidating memories, generating creative insight, and constructing your sense of self, your identity, your values, your understanding of what actually matters to you. This network cannot run properly while you're consuming input. It needs silence to function, and most people are giving it almost none. Think about the last time you sat in genuine silence, not meditation with a guided voice in your ear, not quiet time with lo-fi music playing, actual silence, no input, no stimulation, just you and your own mind. For most people, that moment is genuinely hard to remember, because the moment any silence appears, waiting for coffee, sitting in a car, lying in bed, the phone comes out, the podcast goes in, the silence gets filled before it ever has a chance to do what it's supposed to do. And here's what that's costing you in ways you can't directly see. When you never sit in silence, your unprocessed emotions stack up. The thing that happened 3 weeks ago that bothered you more than you admitted, you never sat with it long enough for your brain to file it properly. So it stays active in the background, quietly draining cognitive resources, showing up as low-grade irritability or anxiety, or that vague feeling that something is off that you can't quite name. Your brain needed 40 minutes of silence to process it. You gave it 40 seconds before opening Instagram. When you never sit in silence, your best thinking never surfaces. The research on this is striking. The majority of genuine creative breakthroughs, the kind where a solution suddenly becomes obvious or an idea arrives fully formed, happen during mind-wandering states. Showers, walks without headphones, lying in the dark before sleep. These aren't random. This is your default mode network doing the work it was designed to do, making connections between things your conscious, focused mind was too busy to see. Every time you fill that space with a podcast or a video, you are directly interrupting the process that generates your clearest thinking. And when you never sit in silence, you lose contact with yourself slowly over time. This is the one that takes the longest to notice and does the most damage. Your sense of what you actually want, what actually bothers you, what you actually value, these aren't things you find through consumption. They emerge through reflection, through sitting quietly long enough that the noise of other people's opinions and the algorithm's constant suggestions and the world's endless demands settle down enough for your own signal to come through. People who never sit in silence start to lose the thread of their own inner life. They know what everyone else thinks. They don't know what they think. They know what everyone else is doing. They'd lost track of what they're doing and why. So here's what to actually do with this. Start with 10 minutes a day of genuine silence. Not meditation with instructions, not breath work with a timer counting down, just silence. Sit somewhere. No phone, no music, no input of any kind. Let your mind go wherever it goes. It will feel uncomfortable for the first few days. That discomfort is just your brain adjusting to the absence of the stimulation it's become dependent on. Push through it. By the end of the first week, it will start feeling less like deprivation and more like relief. Then, take one walk a week with no headphones, just you and whatever environment you're moving through. Let your mind wander completely. Don't direct it. Don't try to solve anything deliberately. Just walk and let your brain do what it does when you finally leave it alone. You will be surprised what surfaces. Ideas you didn't know you had, clarity on things that felt murky, emotions you didn't realize were sitting there waiting to be acknowledged. And create a buffer before sleep. 10 minutes minimum with no screen and no sound before you close your eyes. This isn't just about sleep quality, although it dramatically improves that too. It's about giving your brain the nightly processing window it needs to consolidate what happened during the day. The people who do this consistently report feeling less emotionally reactive, less anxious, and more clear about what they actually want from their lives. Not because of some mystical effect, Because their brain finally got the maintenance window it needed. Here's the real reason most people miss this and why the title of this video is accurate. Silence feels unproductive. In a world that constantly rewards busyness and output and consumption, sitting quietly doing nothing feels like falling behind. It feels indulgent. It feels like wasting time. But the neuroscience is unambiguous. The brain does some of its most important work in silence. The processing, the integration, the creative synthesis, the identity construction, none of it happens properly without it. You are not doing nothing when you sit in silence. You are doing something your brain cannot do any other way. The people who protect their silence aren't less productive than everyone else. They're more productive, more creative, more emotionally stable, and more connected to what they actually want from their lives, not despite the silence, because of it. 10 minutes today, no phone, no input, just you. That's where it starts. If this is the kind of content that makes you stop and actually think, we're building this channel from scratch and we'd love to have you here from the beginning. Subscribe. Every person who joins this early genuinely matters to us, and we're just getting started.